Whoever wants to start off by reading.
Recorder has started.
Okay, Chair Schmidt, I have 534.
Good.
Do you want to announce the meeting or shall I?
Please, if you could announce it.
Sure. This is the complaint committee of the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force of the City and County of San Francisco. It is a remote meeting via video conference. Public comment call-in number is 415-655-0001. The meeting ID is 2494-3807-707##. If you wish to enter the speaker line, please press *3. Remote access to information and participation. In accordance with Governor Newsom's Executive Order N 3320, declaring a state of emergency regarding the COVID-19 outbreak, and Mayor London N. Breed's proclamation declaring a local emergency issued on February 25, 2020, including the guidance for gatherings issued by the San Francisco Department of Public Health Officer, aggressive directives were issued to reduce the spread of COVID-19. On March 17, 2020, the Board of Supervisors authorized their board and committee meetings to convene remotely via WebEx and will allow remote public comment via teleconference. Members of the public may participate by phone or may submit their comments by email to sotf@sfgov.org. All comments received will be made a part of the official record. Sunshine Ordinance Task Force agendas and their associated documents are available at sfbos.org/sunshine. As the COVID-19 disease progresses, please visit the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force website regularly to be updated on the current situation as it affects the legislative process. Meeting decorum. Chair Schmidt, do you want to read that?
Yes. Any member of the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force may call for decorum due to disorderly conduct of meeting participants. Persons who engage in threatening and or menacing behavior may be asked to leave. And so at that, let's go ahead. When you're ready, let's call number 1.
Item number 1, call to order, roll call, and agenda changes. Roll call. Member Wolf.
Present.
Member Wolf, present. Member Stein. Member Stein?
Sorry, present.
Member Stein, present. Chair Schmidt?
Present.
Chair Schmidt, present. We have a quorum. Agenda changes.
Chair Schmidt, this is Victor Young. I just like
Yes.
to point out, since I was dealing with this one, I thought I'd bring it up. I believe that item number 5 has been indicated to be a duplicate by the respondent. I believe that the complainant has agreed and asked that the committee close the matter. If Cheryl can confirm that we received that email requesting the matter be closed.
Yes, we did. I can confirm that.
Let's go ahead and just say we're going to close it unless there's any reason that anyone has not to. Then if there's anyone here for the respondent, they don't need to wait. We probably should also talk about number 4, but I guess if we're gonna, maybe we'll just do that when we come to it, unless someone wants to say anything about it right now.
Victor, Mr. Young.
In regards to item 4, I believe we can get to it when we call the matter. But if you'd like to make a motion to close item 5, I believe we can do that at this time and just take that matter out of order if you'd like.
Yeah, let's close number 5.
So who's moving?
Was that Member Stein? You want to move?
Okay, I'll move it.
I'll second
I
it.
move to close. Yeah.
I'll second it.
Okay. Would you like to take public comment on that?
Yes, please.
Yes, if anyone would like to make public comment on the matter item 5 to close item 5 as requested by the complainant, you can raise your hand now by pressing *3 or otherwise using the application to raise your hand to indicate you would like to make public comment. I do want to note while I'm waiting that we do have the respondent present with us today. but I believe she'll be okay with it because she is not raising her hand at this time. I did not see any hands raised for public comment on this matter. I believe we can close public comment.
Yeah, let's go ahead, and then we can vote on it.
Cheryl, are you ready to take the vote?
Yeah, I was just getting my vote sheets, yes. Member Stein?
Aye.
Member Stein, aye. Member Wolf?
Aye.
Member Wolf, aye. Chair Schmidt?
All right,
Chair Schmidt, aye. Moved by Member Stein, seconded by Member Wolf to close item 5, file number 20127. Okay. Shall we call item number 2?
yes, please.
Item number 2, approval of the January 17, 2023 Complaint Committee meeting minutes.
Okay. Members, any comments on this before we, or maybe we should make a motion?
I'll move to approve. Get it on the floor.
I can second that. This is Member Stein.
Okay, with the mover and seconder, if there's anybody from the public who'd like to make public comment on the approval of the minutes, you can raise your hand at this time. If you're on the telephone, you can press *3. If you're using the application, you can use the application to raise your hand at this time. I will give everyone a few moments to indicate if they'd like to make public comment. I see no hands raised. I believe we can close public comment at this time.
Okay. Let's vote on that.
Yeah, let's go ahead and vote.
Member Wolf?
Aye.
Member Wolf, aye. Member Stein?
Aye.
Member Stein, aye. Chair Schmidt?
Aye.
Chair Schmidt, aye. Moved by Member Wolf, seconded by Member Stein to approve the January 17, 2023 meeting minutes.
Okay, when you're ready, Ms. Lejay, we can move to the next item.
All right. Item number 3, public comment. Members of the public may address the committee on matters that are within the committee's jurisdiction, but not on today's agenda.
Okay, if there's anybody from the public who'd like to make public comment at this time, you can raise your hand by pressing *3. Okay, and if you're on the application, you can also use the application to raise your hand. We have one public commenter. I will go ahead and unmute them. Cheryl, at your discretion, you can time the public comment. Caller has been unmuted.
Okay, great. Sir or madam, can you identify yourself?
Yes, my name is Stillian.
Oh,
Hi. Should I proceed?
yes, you have 3 minutes. Go ahead.
Hi, so my name is Stillian, and I have been sober for 30 consecutive days. Wait. I'm sorry. This is for another meeting. Here it is. My name is Stillian, and I'm quite impressed by the Sunshine Task Force submission team response time. I had recently submitted 2 complaints, and it took less than 2 hours until I received the complaint number. Previously, it used to take weeks until I got an answer. Hopefully, everybody's enjoying this remarkable efficiency. Thank you so much. That's all.
Okay.
Thank you.
I do not see any other hands raised at this time. I believe we can close public comment.
Okay. Item number 4, file number 20036, complaint filed by Anonymous against Jeff Koziski and the Healthy Streets Operations Center for allegedly violating Administrative Code sections 67.29-5, 67.29-7A by failing to maintain a Prop G calendar.
Hi, this is Victor Young. I thought I'd just give you a quick briefing on this matter.
Yeah.
It is my understanding that Jeff Koziski is no longer an employee of the city. And with the complaint filing, it was clear that it was not against the department. It was against Mr. Koziski himself. The departments were aware, but I do not believe they will be attending today. And there was also the question of notification of hearing for today. I did email those notices out to the email address listed on the complaint. There's a possibility that anonymous or the complainant is using a different email address at this time. I can't be sure, but I did email the notice to the original email address. Thank you very much.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Member Stein.
Yeah, this is Member Stein. I'm also very confused by this one because file number 20036 actually came before the full task force to be considered on the consent agenda on November 3rd, 2021, and we voted to find violations, and that's in the subsequent minutes. So I'm not sure why we're seeing this exact same file number again.
Very, very good. Yeah, absolutely. We need to figure that out. I'm going
Let me
to
double
just,
check quickly. I will go ahead and pull up our log for that and see if I can find anything out.
let me just ask, is anyone here for this case? Like, is this anonymous present for this case today? Can you can speak?
Give me a moment. Sorry, I'm on different screens and I can't. Give me one moment. Let's
Yeah.
see if anybody's raising their hand. If you like to respond to that question, you can raise your hand by pressing *3 or otherwise raising your hand. I'm not seeing anything at this time.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm just checking our log to see what I have listed.
Member Stein, you said 2021.
I believe so. I'm going to
is it-
search again, but I have that in my notes, November 3rd, 2021.
So that's a year and 4 months ago. Okay.
And then I checked, I saw it on the agenda for the SOTF, and then I checked the minutes for that meeting and the subsequent. Yeah. And it was in there. We voted on it.
Okay, I'm just going to check our orders to see.
Yeah, there it is. It was item 12A on the consent agenda for November 3rd, 2021, full SOTF meeting.
My apologies. I'm just trying to get it to show up on my screen at the moment. You can proceed without me. I'm just trying to find out what happened.
Sure. And we'll either, it seems like there's nobody here. There may be a notice issue with anonymous, although it seems like Mr. Young did it right in terms of who he sent the email to. I'm not sure if there's a reason why you need to anticipate that he's using a different email unless you get express notification. So we'll probably just send this. It looks like it was already decided, so maybe it's here by mistake, and we'll just.
Yes, I can confirm that an order determination was issued. We will update our complaint log. There's probably an error in our log that we didn't update with that order determination, and I was unaware. So I will go ahead and clean that up. And I don't think any action is needed on this matter today, as we've already acted on this matter.
Okay, good.
So I think we can move on to item number 6.
Item
Yes.
number 6, file number 22141, complaint filed by Stilian Bizanski against Deborah Liu in the Office of the Treasurer and Tax Collector for allegedly violating Administrative Code Section 6721 by failing to respond to a public records request in a timely and/or complete manner.
Okay, I will just lay out the general process that we're going to follow here today for the cases that we will have on the calendar. We will start with
Excuse me, let me interrupt temporarily. I just unmuted the two parties. If we can go ahead and... Oh, I'm going to unmute them for now until you do your introduction.
okay.
I unmuted them prematurely.
Okay, yeah, and we'll hear from you in a moment. You can give opening presentations to us. We have already read through documents beforehand. So, certainly something that's new is good, but we do know the files. So you get up to 3 minutes each, first from the petition filer, next from the responding party. And then after that, we may have questions for the parties. And after that, we will make a determination of some kind as a committee. We can't make a decision here today on the merits of your complaint, but in several cases, in many cases, we may send this to the full task force to have a hearing on the complaint. But we will look specifically at issues of jurisdiction and whether the information documents or meetings involved are public. Thank you. And so when Cheryl Leger, Ms. Leger is ready, we can start and hear from Mr. Bajanski.
Mr. Bajanski, are you ready to begin?
Okay, give me a second. Let me unmute everybody. Okay.
Mr. Bajanski, are you ready to begin?
Okay, let's see if we can get her.
Can you hear me now?
The attention of the complainant. Complainant, I have unmuted you. We're ready to hear from you. Whenever you're ready, I don't know if you're aware that I've unmuted your line.
Yes, I think I can speak for now.
Yes, we were just hearing some odd background noise, so we thought it might have been you.
Oh, okay.
We're ready to hear from you. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Sounds good. So I'd like to mention two things. First, in the previous Sunshine Task Force meeting back in December 2022, we spoke about the relationship between local ordinances and state laws. Some of the Sunshine Ordinance members were not sure what takes precedence, whether it's the conflict, what took precedence, whether there is a conflict between those. I'm sorry, whether there's a conflict between these state ordinance and the state laws. I just want to confirm how it works. So I contacted the California Governor Office. I got the answer, and I would like to share with you, but I'm not quite sure whether I can do that. I know the Sunshine Task Force is an opportunity to express public free speech, but at the same time, discussing the laws is generally protected speech. The worst thing I want to happen is the Sunshine Task Force the Sunshine Task Force meeting to become a lead generation service for attorneys' practices and everybody here to start suing each other. I bring that up since I suspect that the respondent to this case will again bring up the local ordinance and more specifically the mayor's 5th proclamation from February 2020 saying that they had and still have unlimited time to respond to a public request, which is not the case under Government Code 6255C, which says the maximum allowed time to comply with public request to 24 days. And if we can discuss public laws here, maybe we should move that complaint to another venue. And second, I have submitted public request 226945 back on December 8, 2022. As per the guidelines of Government Code 6253C, the maximum allowed time to comply with this request is 24 days, which means that the due date was January 3rd, 2023. Actually, I think it should be January 1st, 2023, but due to the observance of the holidays, I added 2 extra days. I submitted the complaint back on January 10th, 2023, which is 7 days after the deadline. And the public request was still open without much information in it. And that's pretty much everything here I have to say. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. And
Yeah.
now we can hear from the respondent, the representative of the Treasury and Treasurers and Tax Collectors Office.
Good evening. This is Deborah Liu appearing on behalf of the City and County of San Francisco Office of the Treasurer and Tax Collector. The petitioner propounded his immediate disclosure request on October 17th. On that same day, we made a request to our IT department, and the IT department responded with 1,500 documents. Because we were unable to produce and redact the documents all in one day, based upon the large quantity of documents, we then made a notification that this request was not a simple, routine, or otherwise readily answerable request, and that we would be in touch with the petitioner no later than October 27th. So we responded within 24 hours the next business day on October 18th, advising him that it was not an that we would be responding by October 27th. So on October 27th, we did do our first production for the week ending in for October 28th, 2022, and we produced 88 records, which involved, sorting the records, reviewing it, redacting it, and so forth. So as of December 30th, 2022, we had spent an average of 8.5 hours a week, or 85 hours. That request was closed today. We spent an additional 45 and a quarter hours. The total hours that we spent on this one request is 130 hours, and this was over 16 weeks. The petitioner has also propounded a second IDR on December 8th, which we have been diligently working on. The chart shows the production that we've been making weekly, and we have been working on this diligently. So I guess we cannot produce all the documents within any such deadline, if any such deadline exists, of 24 days. It's just impossible with all the number of rolling PRAs that our offices gets. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, so the parties have spoken. Members, do you have questions? I think, I thought
I do.
Okay, yeah, there we go. Member.
I have a question for the respondent, Ms. Liu. How are you today?
I'm okay. Thank you for asking.
Good. So I just want to ask, what provision of the law are you citing that allows for a change in the status from an immediate disclosure request to a standard request?
We cite the Administrative Code 67.25 subsection A.
Okay. Okay, thank you. That's all the questions I have. Thank you.
I don't think I have any questions for the parties.
This is Member Stein. I do have one question. For Ms. Liu. Where in the packet does it show that you responded on October 18th?
October 18th.
You know, I saw that the first documents were released 10 days after they were requested, but I didn't clearly see that there was a response after 1 day to indicate when the records might be coming.
Well, I would request that we continue this hearing so that I could provide it to you, but it's our habit and our practice, especially with IDRs and especially with this particular petitioner, that is what we do.
I just asked because when I'm looking at, I just think in all of the stuff that was provided from Next Request, you know, I'm seeing like the request and the date, and then I'm seeing the documents that were released and the date, but I'm not seeing that 1 day, that notice. I don't know if anyone else has seen it, or I can also ask Mr. Bajanski, do you recall getting a notice the day after you filed saying that it was going to be another 10 days or not?
Yeah, see, actually, I mean, there are two questions right now. Do I get within 20, I think it's 48. I'm not sure it's 24 or 48. For sure within 48. But other than that, yeah, it says that there will be 10 days or something like that requesting.
So you got a notice either within 24 or 48? Is that what you're saying, Mr. Bajanski?
I'm saying that I'm not sure whether the immediate request was limited to 48 hours or is it just say the next business days?
No,
but usually I get it within 24 hours. Within 48. Yeah, 48 hours. Yeah, that's right. So 2 business days. So let's put it that way. If that's the case, yes. Usually it's within two business days.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm just not even seeing, like, if I search the packet for October 18th, other than the mention that there was a response by that date, nothing gets highlighted that shows that the response on that date.
Well, usually Next Request is pretty good system, and when they respond, I think it's also shown, I mean, in the ticketing, in the system. So I'm pretty sure I got the email, so it should be part of the email.
I guess I'm gonna try to verify right now on Next Request.
Okay, yeah, and my legal assistant just emailed me that it is in the Next Request system.
It is there? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, then I'm going to presume, I guess, that there was a response within a day saying that it was going to be 10 days. Okay. Go ahead. That's all my questions. That's it.
Member Wolf.
Yeah, just a follow-up question. Ms. Liu, you said something that you were performing some very specific tasks for this particular requester. Why is this particular requester would be treated differently than any other requester?
He's not treated any differently, but I would know more about this requester because he has propounded 22 PRAs to us within 18 months. So, you know, I mean, we do all the IDRs, all the same, and we pay attention, but I can say with certainty that we know of Stilian Bajanski in this matter, so he's not treated differently, but it just sticks in my mind more.
Okay, you're not treating him differently than anyone else, are you?
No,
Okay.
not in the sense that you think, we're giving him preferential or differential treatment. We have several rolling PRAs, and I guess we try to respond with giving everybody a batch weekly. We try to do it by Friday. Once in a while we'll do 2 releases. If I get, that many to review, as I do it, I release it when I give the okay once it's been approved.
Okay, thank you. That's all the questions I have, Mr. Chair.
All right. I still don't have questions in this, so we could try to figure out what we want to do with it. I'm not sure if there's anything that it seems like we have the basics to send it forward for a full task force hearing. Not that I necessarily think we need to either make a recommendation either way on this, but we just need to have all the members take a look at it. But I'm open to a motion.
Well, I can make the very generic, I feel like there's 2 motions that could be made here. One is the generic motion that obviously these are public records, they're under our jurisdiction. We could just forward it to task force. I personally am not seeing what looks like a violation to me because there was a response within a day. The records were started being released on a rolling basis within 10 days. So, if we wanted to flag something, we could say with a recommendation of no violation, but if anyone wants to leave it open, we can just forward it without any recommendation. That's kind of where what I'm thinking.
Member Wolf.
Yeah, so a couple of things. It's somewhat in agreement on that point with Member Stein, but there are other points here that I'm concerned about. One is, first of all, whether this actually is an IDR, because the way the IDR was formatted. We learned a little bit about that from our last meeting. There are very specific instructions for an IDR in 6725, and looking at this at the original next request it does not follow that. That said, the reason for which the respondent gave for changing the status, if this was an IDR, to me is incorrect. And I'm a little concerned about this trend that just because people read in 6725 that the last sentence of A, because it says something about simple or routine or otherwise readily answerable request, has nothing to do with the thrust or the focus of that sentence. That sentence has to do with maximum deadlines. It doesn't have to do with necessarily a description of the type of request. The idea is that maximum deadlines are not supposed to be abused if it is a simple or routine or otherwise readily answerable request. That's what that line is about. And I'm very concerned that we are getting a lot of respondents that are reading that incorrectly. They're interpreting it wrong. So I'm interested in having the task force review those points. Nonetheless, with Member Stein's point about that there was a response within 24 hours, and that records started coming within 10 days and on a rolling basis. It's not 24 days. The Sunshine Ordinance supersedes the CPRA in this for this matter. And, so I would somewhat agree to those points, but would like to have the task force hear the 2 points that I bring forward with regards to this matter.
Do you want to make the motion?
So I'll move that the records of public is within our jurisdiction, and that it be moved to the task force for consideration. And I'll make those points when we have the pre-briefing before the item, we hear the item at the task force. The point where the chair asks if there are any members of the committee that has anything to report. I'll bring those points up then.
Okay, I'll second it.
Okay, we can have public comment.
Yes, if any members of the public would like to make public comment on this matter, you can raise your hand at this time. If you're calling on the phone, you can press *3, or you can use your application on the program to indicate you would like to raise your hand for public comment. I'll give everyone a moment. Okay, I do not see any hands raised. I believe we can close public comment.
All right, let's vote.
Second, I gotta get my vote sheet out. Member Wolf?
Aye.
Member Wolf, aye. Member Stein?
Aye.
Member Stein, aye. Chair Schmidt?
Aye.
Chair Schmidt, aye. Moved by Member Wolf, seconded by Member Stein. To find that the records are public, there is jurisdiction, and to forward the matter to the task force for consideration. Shall I read the next item, Chair Schmidt?
Yes, please.
Item number 7, file number 22137, complaint filed by Maria Schulman against Ashley Summers, Mei Ling Hui, Maria Durana, and Recreation and Parks Department for allegedly violating Administrative Code Section 6725 by failing to respond to an immediate disclosure request in a timely and or complete manner.
All right, let me ask if
we have both
parties
parties present today.
Okay, so
I
Ms.
see them
Schulman,
both logged in.
I believe, is present, and we have someone from representing the respondents or on behalf
We
of
have
them.
Ashley Summers is logged in.
Okay, great. So same rules, up to 3 minutes, opening statements. And so when Cheryl's ready, let's start with Ms. Schulman.
Ms. Schulman, are you ready to begin?
I am.
Go ahead.
Thank you. So first off, I made a mistake in specifying what the original request was. The original records request was actually an email that I sent on October 20th, 2022. That's page 20 of your packet. And this email had the words records request in the subject heading. And towards the end of the email, I specified what records I was looking for. I said, would you please provide me with the original plans that were used to create the garden? And Rec and Park didn't respond to this email, so I followed up on November 10th and again on November 30th. And on November 30th, someone from Hillary Ronan's office, who had been included in that email thread, said that I should make, quote, an official sunshine request. I think that's page 18 of the packet. And my contention is that the 1020 email constitutes an official request. I think that if Rec and Park, if the employees in that email were not able to fulfill the request themselves, they should have forwarded it to the custodian of records. In any case, nobody from Rec and Park responded to me until December 1st, which is on page 17 of the packet. After about 3 weeks had passed with no response from Rec and Park, I filed a immediate disclosure request on Next Request on November 11th, asking for the same records. But I don't think that the public should be required to use the Next Request portal in order for a request to count as being official. Although my IDR was made on November 11th, I did not hear back from the respondent until December 1st, well after 10 days from when I had made the immediate disclosure request. And I think this is a violation of Section 6725B, as I explain on page 17 of the packet. And finally, as you can see, Ms. Summers, the respondent, told me that I would have to make an appointment in order to view the records in person. And I explained on page 16 of the packet that I think requiring an appointment in order to view a record is a violation of Section 6721A. And that's all I have to say. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. And now we can hear from the respondent, Ms. Summers.
Okay, just a second.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me. So the first time that I heard from Ms. Schulman was on November 11th through the Next Request system, November 11th, 2022, asking for the plans for Alioto Community Garden and Mini Park. The previous request that she's mentioning in October, I think there is a thread that I was looped into later on beyond the time that I finally got the request through Next Request. And, I don't know that my colleagues maybe understood that it was a records request or not. However, I did not receive that particular one. So I did get it on November 11th. We responded to her in December, telling her that it wasn't readily answerable and that we would process it as a regular request. I then invoked an extension because I found out that the plans were physical plans, not digital, and that they were at our structural maintenance yard, which is not generally open to the public. And before my extension was over, I let her know the documents were ready and that, yes, she didn't need to make an appointment. This is simply because the structural maintenance yard is not a safe place for people to go. So we need to, kind of coordinate that. That being said, she did ask for them digitally. And so my colleague walked over to the yard because he was nearby and took photos of the plans for her, and I sent them to her the day after her response on December 7th. Furthermore, after that, I noticed that I think my colleague didn't take pictures of everything, so I went back myself another day. I don't remember what day, but it's not part of this, so I didn't include it. And I went and made an appointment and went into the office and took pictures myself of the other plans, which I think might have been actually what she had originally wanted. So that's all I have to say, but open for questions.
Okay, thank you. And we may have questions from the members for either party. Let me open that up. Members, anything?
This is Member Stein. I'm wondering if I have a couple questions for the respondent. Can you describe when you got the first request that you saw? Can you describe what your search process was for the documents?
Oh, sure. So the way that I handle my requests, I'm sort of a, we do receive a lot of requests at Rec and Park, and some of them are more complex than others. But my general process is that I figure out who in the department would know where the records are. If they're not my records, since I am the commission secretary, I also have a lot of records myself. So if they're not mine, I figure out who might have them. I email a copy of the next request to my colleagues. So for this one, I emailed our Director of Capital and Planning, and I also emailed Mei-Ling Hui. Mei-Ling Hui and Maria Durana, who are named respondents in this case, do not have access to any of these records and are not holders of any records. So it really should have been originally given to me. So I sent it to them. They did not have any responsive documents. It got eventually, through that process, looped into somebody who does know where our plans are. Like, we have all sorts of plans, digital, physical, and they're in several locations. And so this person knew where our plans were, and she let me know that this was not a location that was easily accessible by staff or the public. I asked them how to get to the records, and it just took a while for that communication to happen. Does that answer your question?
It does. It answered my second question too, because I was going to ask if the plans and maps were kept at more than one facility.
Yeah.
And then I was going to ask, why did it take over 3 weeks to find out even where she could view the records, where the petitioner.
That's a great question. As I mentioned before, I'm also the commission secretary. I also run our CAC, and I wear many hats, and I don't know how every department handles these things. And so once I release it out into the universe, I do trust that my colleagues are working on it. So eventually, I think that at this time, there was a change in, we had a new head of our structural maintenance yard coming on, and the old head was retiring. So it's possible that it got lost in her process, but she did eventually let me know that, like, no, the requester can't just walk into the structural maintenance yard. So it took a while for me to get that information from her and how I could get that stuff. I didn't know if they had a scanner, if they could take pictures, or how this would work. But generally speaking, of like plans this large, I would assume the requester might want to see them in person, because I didn't know the full backstory as to why she wanted to see them or what she was really looking for. So that's probably why it took that long. But we were certainly working on it, and I close all of my next requests. I'm very proud of that. So yeah.
Okay, and then just a question for the petitioner. Who was your original email on, I mean, I know it was in there, but I don't remember the answer to this question now. Your original email on October 20th, who was that sent to?
Yeah, that was not sent to the custodian of records. That was sent to where is it? That was to some other Rec and Park employees. And then also, there was a longer conversation that I wasn't part of between Hillary Ronan's office and these people from Rec and Park. And I got looped into the conversation.
Mhm.
And
I'm just, what I'm curious to know is, was that original email sent to anyone who is named in this complaint?
Yeah, I think so. I just lost the packet.
As opposed,
if I might, I apologize to interrupt, but yes, it was sent to Mei-Ling and Maria Durana on October 20th.
okay.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, and it says to that end, would you please provide me with the original plans that were used to create the garden, park, and playground as they currently exist?
Okay. Those are all my questions.
All right. I have a couple questions. This is Chair Schmidt. First for Ms. Showman. Let's see. Do you believe that at this time there's anything that has not been produced in response to this request to you?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I think everything's there.
And question to the respondent. Could you describe the physical location? Where in the city is it?
Yeah. Are you familiar with like the Correct Children's Playground?
I think that's down in like Ingleside. Is that right?
Oh, no, it's in
Golden Gate Park.
In Golden Gate Park.
Oh,
So quite
okay.
close to where Kezar Drive kind of makes a left into
Okay.
Golden Gate Park. So right near the parking lot for the children's playground and the Sharon Arts Studio, at that intersection, if you look to the left, there's a large driveway and there's a standard Rec and Park green hanging sign that says structural maintenance yard. And there are gates there so that
Sure.
people can't walk in.
Got it. Do you know any reason why these plans would be kept there? And it may just be random, but I'm just wondering if you've determined that in working on this request.
I have not determined the reason why the plans are located in that room, but there's about a wall with cubbies in it from like maybe 10 feet high, full of plans.
Okay. And could you just describe like how old the plans are, if you know?
I think it varies, but the ones that I was looking at were certainly several decades old.
And apparently they're of a size that is maybe a little bit difficult to produce. Are they just large
I would say they're
plants?
like maybe 24 by 36 inch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's all the questions I have right now. Members, any other questions? Okay, so we can figure out what we might want to do with this, and if we have recommendations for the full task force or not, we can put that into a motion. Members, anything that you are thinking on this?
You're on mute, Member Stein.
Thank you. I do see the October 20th request as a valid request. So I'm kind of leaning towards there is a timeliness issue here. I definitely think this is public records under our jurisdiction. Yes, once it went through some other process, I think there was, a good effort to respond to it, but I feel like it looks like that first request was more or less ignored. And that's where I'm really seeing a problem.
Yeah,
I
see it the same way, that it does seem like there was an initial period of time that shouldn't have happened because the initial request was valid. It seems like once there was a determination that they felt they wanted to act on it, the subsequent request, then it started to move in a somewhat reasonable manner. So yeah, it seems like the timing is definitely problematic, at least the initial timing.
I mean, I can make a motion that these are public records under our jurisdiction and that we send it to the full task force to consider whether there's been a violation of 6721E and 67.25, since 2 requests were made and potentially not responded to in a timely manner.
I'd support that.
That's a second.
Okay, I assume that you would like to go to public comment at this time.
Yes,
If
please.
anybody who would like to make public comment, you can raise your hand by pressing *3, or otherwise using the application to raise your hand. I'll give everyone A moment.
Before we begin with that, I was typing the motion. Could you tell me who seconded that, please?
Member Wolf.
Okay.
Okay, I'm not seeing any indication of public comment at this time.
Then we're ready for the vote.
Member Stein?
Aye.
Member Stein, aye. Member Wolf?
Aye.
Member Wolf, aye. Chair Schmidt?
Aye.
Chair Schmidt, aye. Moved by Member Stein, seconded by Member Wolf. Find that the records are public. There is jurisdiction and sent to the task force for a recommendation of a violation of 6721E and 6725 because 2 requests were made and not responded to in a timely manner.
Wait,
Okay.
I'm sorry, can you read that again? That wasn't, I'm not sure that was quite right.
Good, I'm glad you're saying that.
Sorry, go ahead.
Moved by Member Stein, seconded by Member Wolf. To find that the records are public, there is jurisdiction, and to send the matter to the full task force and recommend a violation of 6721E and 6725 because 2 separate requests were made and not responded to in a timely manner.
Yeah, I actually was more tentative than that, and I said send it to the SOTF and to have them to recommend considering whether there's a violation. So I'm not recommending a violation. I'm saying that the focus is on looking at 6721E and 6725 because 2 requests were made and potentially not responded to in a timely manner.
Potentially, okay. Potentially not responded to in a timely manner. Okay. Records of public jurisdiction and send to the task force to recommend consideration if there is a violation of 6721E and 6725 because 2 requests were made and potentially not responded to in a timely manner.
Yeah, and I phrased it that way because it may be there may be a difference between how the task force views the first and second request. So it's just not a firm recommendation. It's just this is what we should consider. So that was perfect, Cheryl.
All right, great.
Yeah, that's what we voted on.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Okay. Ready for the next item?
Yes, please.
Item number 8, file number 23003, complaint filed by Carl Kramer against Carla Short, Bruce Robertson, and Public Works for allegedly violating Administrative Code Section 6721 by failing to respond to a public records request in a timely and/or complete manner.
All right. Is there anyone here on behalf of Mr. Kramer, or is Mr. Kramer here? We'll hear from you first.
Yes, Carl Kramer is here.
Great. Okay. When Cheryl's ready, you can start out.
You ready, sir?
Yes, I'm ready. Thanks, Cheryl.
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, so, I think the reason this sort of has ended up here in this hearing, I think is that the portal next request is a real poor means of communication. But I think there's also kind of a basic tension between the view of the Sunshine Ordinance as providing a right to information or just to available documents. And I think what we're seeking is kind of a explanation of the information that we did receive. We received basically a 2-line spreadsheet kind of showing the information that we're seeking on the Chinatown block sweeping. Now that's for a program. What we were actually seeking was the cost of doing business, cost of living adjustment for nonprofit organizations. But, you know, we're not going to argue about that. We have, you know, or seek help in kind of matching what are the organizations with which programs. But we want to, you know, there's multiple programs that are being funded, multiple nonprofit organizations. We want to see those same figures for all of those organizations and those programs. And then we're kind of left interpreting what is it that the department is saying that they don't have this information, that contracts have been renegotiated, and when they're renegotiated, they're not provided the 4% cost of doing business, cost of living adjustment increase. And then we were sent a series of contract amendments. So the question is, you know, if a contract has an amendment, are they then saying that contract has been renegotiated and they're not being provided funding for providing wage increases for the workers? So, you know, it'd be nice maybe to have a phone call sometime to talk about these things, just to get some further explanation. But I think it's left to just to, you know, bring it to hearing and try to get some understanding of you know, the information that we are provided. So we're not, you know, arguing on timeliness. We thought the information was timely. We just
So
trying to make
this up.
You
thank you.
could conclude. Thank you.
Oh, I think I concluded. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So now, when Cheryl's ready, we can hear from representative of DPW.
Good evening, Bruce Robertson from Public Works. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to respond. I think the complainant, Mr. Kramer, provided a good example of this, in our opinion, really is not a sunshine request issue. We have provided the information. It seems like a lot of the confusion over the documentation and materials we provided could have been resolved with a phone conversation. So the initial request came in on December 16th, of which we responded on December 21st. And the request was the allocation for nonprofit organizations that have contracts to show the cost of doing business increase. Mr. Kramer is absolutely correct. The complainant is absolutely correct. We provided the spreadsheet that showed that calculation with the 4% increase. That was the only contract that was eligible to receive the cost of doing business increase. All of our other agreements already met that criteria, and the minimum compensation ordinance and the cost of doing business was already factored in. The complainant responded on January 3rd, basically saying that we had only provided the information for the Chinatown block sweeping program and was requesting the calculation for the other contracts. We had previously renegotiated our contracts and factored in the cost of doing business increase, and the minimum compensation ordinance was already covered. So what we provided, to be transparent to the complainant, was fully executed copies of the contractual agreement between the various nonprofit organizations and Public Works. And we turned that around in 2 business days. At that point, from January 3rd until today, we had heard nothing from the complainant. So if we would have had the conversations and a simple phone call that he had mentioned earlier, I think that would have helped explain the situation and why we only provided that one answer for the initial Chinatown block sweeping program. We have talked to the controller's office, and the way we have done it fully complies by renegotiating in advance of the MCO or the CODB fully complies with the minimum compensation ordinance and the cost of doing business. So in the Public Works opinion, we feel we have provided all of the necessary information, and will gladly offline have a conversation with the complainant, Mr. Kramer, to outline what we provided and how we feel we fully comply with the requirements. Thank you.
All right. Thank you to the parties. Members, questions? Yes, Member Wolf.
Yes, Mr. Robertson. So I'm a little confused. Did you provide the requester with all the separate figures for each of the nonprofits that receive funding, or not?
The specific request, well, yes and no. The specific request asked for the calculation that was the allocation that showed the increase of 4% for the contracts. So we provided that for the Chinatown block sweeping one. That was the only contract that was eligible for that increase in working with the mayor's budget office and the controller's office.
So
all of our other contracts were ineligible for that allocation because we had already increased them, factoring in the minimum compensation ordinance, and we went well above the cost of doing business increase and well above the minimum compensation ordinance. So the allocations and the calculations were not done. And we confirmed that with the controller's office.
But nonetheless, a COLA and a COBD were applied.
Because we more than doubled the contracts, we fully met them, so there was no real allocation to do, because we had increased that contract by almost 50% in one instance and well above that in the others. So we were well in excess of that 4%.
So why would that be counter to the request that I'm reading on page 4 of the record here of Mr. Kramer's request? I don't understand how those calculations or that formulation changes the request.
Because not every nonprofit agreement is eligible for the 4%. If you amend the contract before the CODB happens and you are above them, it is not eligible for the 4% calculation. The CODB also applies to general fund contracts. We have contracts that do not receive general fund money, but we apply that percentage and we make sure we are over the cost of doing business for all contracts. But there may not be the actual formulaic allocation because we meet it and comply with it in other ways by going well above those requirements, even though we do not have to do that actual allocation as part of the budget process to get additional funding from the mayor's office and the controller's office.
Yeah, but just because you go over and beyond doesn't necessarily, dismiss that they would be eligible for at least the cost of doing business increase.
But we are complying with the cost of doing business already, so there's no calculation to apply since we've already met them.
If they're already in compliance with that, why not provide them with the information? It's what his request is.
Because we don't have that information because they're already in compliance. If we had that information and that calculation, we absolutely would have provided it.
But he's not asking for whether they're in compliance or not. He's just asking for the list.
And we provided that list. We provided all of the contracts on the second request that came January 3rd, and we provided the calculation for the one contract that did require the allocation and the increase for the cost of doing business in the minimum compensation ordinance.
Okay. Mr. Kramer.
Yes.
So if their calculations and their formulations only produced one result, was that not satisfactory for you? Did you think there were others?
Well, I obviously thought that there was information that would be similar to what they provided in the China block sweeping. I can understand his explanation. he's sort of leaving it to us now to go through the contracts and do the calculations, figure out, what the increases are. But I welcome the offer. Bruce is willing to talk on the phone if we have any further questions. But I'm at this point, I'm willing to withdraw the complaint.
Go ahead, Member Stein.
Oh, I just had one question for Mr. Kramer. Did you try to contact the office, Department of Public Works or Mr. Robertson or whoever after you got these records to ask them questions? Did you actually try to contact them and not get a response?
I'm working actually with a group of student interns, and yes, they're given directions that they should try to make, phone contact. But, I can't swear that it happened. I know that, at the end of it, I have a frustrated student who is trying to figure out the information. But if we did have a phone number that we can get in touch maybe with Bruce, if we do have any questions and what we receive, we'd welcome that.
So how can we facilitate this at the moment?
Mr. Kramer, I think your idea of setting something up, withdrawing this complaint is certainly acceptable. It seems like you are somewhat looking for some explanatory information, I'll call it. So if Mr. Robertson would give us a means of for communication, then I think that we will be accepting of Mr. Kramer's offer to withdraw this. Mr. Robertson, how can this contact be facilitated?
I will gladly get in contact with Mr. Kramer. I'm a little hesitant to put my telephone number in the chat.
Sure, that's fine. I understand.
I have Mr. Kramer's email address, so I commit publicly and to the task force that I will reach out to him within the next day or so.
Okay.
Mr. Robinson, the email address for Mr. Kramer is available on the complaint forms, which is on our today's packet.
I see it right there. Thank you, Victor. I will email him this evening.
Does that work for you, Mr. Kramer?
Yes, totally.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Then we will accept, and we will arrange to have the matter dismissed if the members are so willing.
I just have a question, Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
This is Member Wolf. I'm just wondering if it might not be prudent, since this did come in as a complaint, that we at least continue the item, leave it open, just in case for some reason there was some anomaly and Mr. Kramer did not get the information that he was seeking. At least the complaint can remain open until further notice.
That's fine with me. Let's continue the matter, and then we will, Mr. Kramer, if you want to dismiss the matter, then we would ask you to later indicate that. But let's leave it open for now.
Yeah, I'll
like.
contact Cheryl or Victor.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So I'll move to continue the item.
Second.
Are you done?
Okay, if there's any, there's only one other person online with us. If you'd like to make public comment at this time, if you go ahead and raise your hand by pressing *3, it would be appreciated. Okay, I don't see anything. I'd just like to request that Cheryl, if you can so note in our complaint log that there is a possibility of withdrawal, and we should check in approximately 2 months or something if we don't hear anything.
All right.
I think we can take a vote to continue this matter whenever you're ready.
Yeah, just a second. I should check what you said. Member Wolf?
Aye.
Member Wolf, aye. Chair Schmidt?
Aye.
Chair Schmidt, aye. Member Stein?
Aye.
Member Stein, aye. Moved by Member Wolf, seconded by Chair Schmidt to continue the matter to the call of the chair. And shall we put in and request that the petitioner contact me to confirm whether he's gotten everything he needs? We want to put that in the motion?
Okay, sure.
Okay.
So when you're ready, Cheryl, we could move to the next item
Hang on a second.
after you get that.
Okay. Item number 9, announcements, comments, questions, and future agenda items by members of the complaint committee.
Okay, anything from other members? Okay, thank you, Mr. Robertson. Yeah. Anything, members? I have no nothing on number 9 myself.
Member Stein, Member Wolf.
Looks like we're fine. Looks like we're good.
All right.
Nothing here.
Okay.
And let's move on to item number 10, which is adjournment. I have 6:51.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Have a good night, folks.